Alright, welcome back. Knockhill Season 2 2025. Things have changed for the Ray, so the setup has changed up a bit. The setup is a bit delayed. Some real life issues. Cat knocked over a vase and split his foot open and had to go to the hospital and get stitches and lots of fun. So a little bit delayed here, sorry about that. So, uh, setup ride height, that's really the big difference. Ride height 28 mils now from what it used to be in the minus something. Ride height here is a little bit higher. There are a lot of curbs and some sausage curbs to go over, so the ride height does have to be up. ARB is 0. Understeer is not great here. Damper compression 20. Previous guides did have this turned up a little bit. It does help keep the rear more planted. However, it does add understeer. So if you are struggling, you may want to knock that up to 21 or 22. That will definitely keep the back end more compliant, but you will have a bit more understeer. Having it down at 20, I found adjusting the brake bias was actually better to keep that back end planted. 57% for me. For you, that's a different number. But if you find that the rear is kicking out too easy for you, just try increasing that brake bias, and that will help keep it more planted on the rear. So spring rates, low as they go, front and back. And you know my channel, it's going to be asymmetrical. 1.6 on the left. That is a lot of camber for me. 1.2 on the right. If you want to keep them symmetrical, go with 1.6 for both. Yeah, the left-hand tires are doing a lot more work than the right, and so the reason it's asymmetrical is just to keep the tire temps and the tire wear more even. Toe in 1.5, 1.5 on the left and the right. I always keep the toes symmetrical. iRacing does not like the right so much. I will have this setup guide in the Ray forum on iRacing, the Ray 1600 forum. So if you want to download it there, you certainly can. iRacing does not like these yellow numbers so much. It is a little trickier to get them loaded up manually, so the download will be there if you want to have it. The toe-in is turned up pretty high just because we do need a lot of turn-in, tight corners on this track for sure. Spring rate slow as they go in the rear. Camber 1.4 on the left, 1.2 on the right. Same thing as the front wheels, just to keep things more in line. Go with the higher value if you want to keep them symmetrical. Toe in 0.4 on the rear. Now I unfortunately did not have a ton of time for practice. I have noticed with the new race setup, once you start getting the rear toe values turned up, it can decrease performance. So I am probably going to try a 0.3, see if that improves things at all. If you've given it a try, leave a comment below. Let me know if that does make things a little bit better performance-wise. And what do we got here? In the rear, ride height is 37 mils, so just a little bit well, numerically it's a lot higher than the front, but if you look at the ride height values, it is just a millimeter higher in the rear than in the front, and that's just to keep the rake in a proper proportion. ARB is 15. This track is a lot of uphill and downhill, and like some tracks, uphill and downhill is a straight line, but on this track, uphill and downhill is often on a corner. And having the ARB turned up to 20, I find makes the back end a little twitchy, a little too twitchy for my liking. 10 is probably not going to get enough rotation in the car, so 15 is kind of the sweet spot. And damper compression, that is one I don't usually mess around with too much in the rear. However, on this track I have. It's 4 clicks, so it's down 2. That is to get the weight shift to the rear quicker, easier, more effective, because again, you're on a lot of hills, and getting that weight shifted back to the rear helps get the rears more planted, gets more grip going, allows you to get on the throttle faster. Fuel 14 liters. This is a tricky one. 14 liters should be plenty to get you to the end of the race. 13 is going to be probably too tight. I wish it was 13 and a half. That would be just perfect. But you can't err on the side of too low fuel. So 14 will get you to the end. Gear stack standard. Short is good. Short feels good. It is fast. The problem is if you are in a race and there are cars behind you, they are going to eat you up if you have a short stack with the draft. And on the flip side, if you're drafting off somebody and you've got a short stack, you are not going to be getting the full value that you can of that draft. So standard is really where you have to be. So, because this track guide is late, I'm actually practicing in a live session, so it's moderately low usage, 26 degrees. If you notice, my best time is 50.9. That is from the previous season, and I believe that may have been assisted with a little bit of draft. I am nowhere near that on straight solo pace. We're going to do a 51.4. 51.3 was my best. However, there were, I think, an X involved here and there, so we're going to go with the 50.4. And yeah, so we'll go through it in slow motion and then run it out at full speed. So coming into turn 1, course fourth gear, looking for the sand up here and just braking just at the start of the sand. You can brake deeper into this if you are battling for this corner, because this is going to be a big corner for battling. However, you are going to be very compromised on exit. So if you're trying to go fast, you're braking just before the sand. Getting your braking done so that you are on the throttle well before the apex, and that is going to get you there a lot faster. So shifting down pretty hard on the brakes, quick blast of brakes down into third gear, and then wanting to get your tire onto the blue and white, maybe just grazing the sausage curb. In times past, you actually wanted to get your car pretty much centered over this sausage curb, but now if you do that, you are going to get an X, and a very good chance you're going to get a slowdown. So you do not want to be any further right than I am right now. And again, just picking up that throttle just before you get on the sausage curb, and then getting back onto full throttle after you are on the pavement and the wheel is straight. And very important to cut this corner. If you do not cut this corner, you are going to be going very slow. Getting your left-hand tire onto the sausage curb here. You can maybe get onto the patch here and hit these markers, but again, you are flirting with an X, you are flirting with a slowdown. So keeping that left tire on the sausage curb is going to keep you safe. And then just a little bit of throttle, keeping the car steady, and is basically as soon as you get into this thin patch of the curb, getting onto the brakes, shifting down into second. Again, you can go in deeper to this, but you are compromised. So if you're battling for this corner, you can go deep. But to go fast, you want to have the braking done. You have to get the car as far over to the left as you can to open this up, releasing the brakes and getting on the throttle well before the apex. Just picking it up a little bit to keep that back end steady. Getting onto the blue and white curb. Again, you don't want to hit the sausage curb on that one. That is too disruptive. It's going to send you way off in the wrong direction. Picking up the full throttle onto the green stuff, you can just barely graze the sand. You're okay, but if you put a tire into there, you are going to get an X. And just working your way up through the gears, getting onto the blue and white here again. If you get onto that sausage again, it's too disruptive. This next section is very tricky. You do not want the car to be going sideways. You do not want to have the car unsettled. So stay on the blue and white. In third gear, just the lifting as you approach the hill here, and you're looking for the second marker here, and turning in at that second marker. This is an unsighted turn, so it's tricky. It's going to take some practice for sure, so don't get too frustrated, especially on cold tires. You have to be a little more cautious through here. Just a little bit of throttle, turning in there, and then getting your right hand tire onto that sausage curb. if you don't want to have your car, your right-hand tire, onto the grass and your car centered over the sausage curb, if you do that, you are going to be in for a ride. You are going to be a passenger as your car goes flying and spinning. So keep your tire on the sausage curb. Third gear, just watching the throttle, not stomping on it, just easing it on through there. Getting onto the green stuff just like that turn, what is it, 3. Cold tires again for all of these corners. Just watch out, you are going to understeer a bit on cold tires, so you have to be a little bit more careful so you don't get that X. Again, if you just graze the sand, you're okay, but you put a tire in the gravel there, you are going to pick up an X. And then working your way up into fourth gear. It's actually, third gear can be kind of nice through this, but if you're drafting off someone, for sure, fourth gear is where you're going to want to be. Keeping the car way to the left and getting onto this blue and white as much as you can to open this up. Very important to open it up. And then is just as you again enter the thin spot of the curbs here, getting on the brakes, shifting down into third. Once again, you can go deeper, but you're compromised if you're fighting for this corner. Pretty hard on the brakes, and then releasing the brakes as you turn in. This is off camber coming up here over this hill and picking up a little bit of throttle. Again, that's where the softer rear is coming into play, just to get some traction. Getting on the blue and white curb. Don't get on the sausage curb for that one. Full throttle, and this is a big straight, so it's really important to get onto that throttle as early as possible. And again, onto the green stuff. Don't put a whole tire into the gravel. You'll get an X for that. And then just keeping it tight to the left. This is a pretty gentle curve, so you're not going to really scrub any speed. And looking for the sand here in fourth gear. Looking for the Marshall box, between the start of the gravel and the Marshall box. In my view, it's just at the start of the Marshall station here. In your view, it's going to be something different. There's no real great marker here. Again, you can go in deeper, but you are going to be compromised on exit. So braking hard down into second gear, and then turning in just as you get to the, sort of midway through the curbs here, down into first, then releasing the brake and letting the car roll in. Especially cold tires, you really have to watch when you put the throttle on here. With your wheel turned and putting the throttle on cold tires, that back end is really going to want to spin and perhaps even kick out on you. So watch out on cold tires. First few laps, probably about 5 laps for this track before they really get warm. Just be very careful. This is a very easy spot to spin, and if the car in front of you spins, it's easy to get collected, so watch out. Getting onto the blue and white curb again, in way back when you'd actually want to get onto the sausage curb here, but the newer track version of this, that is not gonna end well. And picking up the throttle nice and early. Again, very big straight, very big passing opportunity here going into turn 1. The finish line is a fair bit of a ways back, so if the person in front of you screwed it up, you can actually go for an overtake if you have a better run. And again, picking up the throttle here nice and early. If this is your quali lap, do not screw this corner up. If you screw this corner up, your lap is wrecked, and your next one is going to be compromised as well. So very important on this one to get this last corner right on your quali lap. It is penalizing if you do not. So a 51.4, I think that will be pretty competitive. Definitely the low 51s is going to be where the real fast times are. As without a draft, with a draft, probably be some people breaking into the 50s again. So good luck out there. I'll run this out at full speed. We'll see you next time.